Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk you through the events of the menstrual cycle. I'm going to talk about the hormones that control the menstrual cycle, and this is needed for both combined and triple science. And for higher tier, you need to know in detail how the hormones interact to control the menstrual cycle, and just for foundation, you need to know what the hormones are and their role, but you don't need to be able to explain in detail how they work together. Okay, so it's quite a long video this will be, so make sure you've got some time to watch it because I'm going to go into a lot of detail. So we've got a nice chart here that shows the 4 hormones that are involved. So we've got progesterone in purple, estrogen in yellow, luteinizing hormone in blue, and follicle stimulating hormone in green. And then down the bottom here is a graphic to show the uterus lining, how it's shed and then builds back up again. So the first thing that happens is the pituitary gland, which is a gland in the brain, releases a hormone called follicle stimulating hormone, which we'll shorten to FSH. That stimulates the follicles in the ovaries to mature and develop an egg. So they're kind of immature eggs in the follicles, and the F causes them to mature. So step 1 is around here. So the pituitary gland, I'm going to use little acronyms to speed it up. Releases FSH to stimulate the follicles, to stimulate follicles to mature. So the follicles are in the ovaries. So as that's happening, the ovaries are stimulated also by the FSH to make and release estrogen. So the follicles are maturing, but at the same time, the ovaries are going to start releasing estrogen. So that's what's happening here. So step 2, the FSH also stimulates the ovaries to release estrogen. Okay, so you can see estrogen starting to rise now in response to that increase in FSH. Okay, so the estrogen has a few roles. The main role is that it's going to be stimulating the uterus lining here to thicken, but it also inhibits that FSH, so that FSH level starts to drop and we don't need that anymore. And also it starts to turn on the secretion of LH, also from the pituitary gland. So the estrogen has quite a few jobs. So let's put the number down here. Step 3, the estrogen is causing the uterus lining to thicken. And the reason it's going to be thickening is to prepare it in case of a fertilization event where the embryo will then need to embed into it to develop. So it causes the uterus line to thicken, but it also switches off and promotes secretion of LH. So it inhibits FSH and increases LH secretion. So estrogen's got a lot to do. That would be step 3 and 4, but we'll just have another step 3 up here. So step 3 is turning off, but also turning off FSH and turning on LH. So step 4 then, the luteinizing hormone that's secreted by the pituitary gland, let's just put in brackets pituitary gland, that luteinizing hormone is going to trigger ovulation. That is the release of the mature egg from the follicle in the ovary. So LH triggers ovulation. So that's around here. So when it peaks, the ovulation event is going to happen. Now step 5, that empty follicle that has released its egg is now able to release the final hormone, which is progesterone. That progesterone will maintain that uterus lining. So it's kind of finishing off what estrogen started. Now that empty follicle also temporarily switches off estrogen production, but it does recover again. And the progesterone is also able to turn off both FSH and LH. Okay, so it's the empty follicle. It's empty because it's already released the egg. It releases progesterone. So that's what's happening here, which maintains the uterus lining. It also switches off LH and FSH. All right, so the final step, if we have fertilization, then the uterus lining will be used for the embryo to embed into. But if fertilization doesn't take place, then progesterone levels will start to drop. And that will cause the uterus lining to shed because it's no longer needed, and that's what menstruation is. So without fertilization, the follicle stops producing progesterone, estrogen, and menstruation starts. I hope that helps. This is the level of detail that you do need to know for higher, so make sure you know those steps in order. Okay, good luck.